From 95.7 The Spin, it's the Screaming Eagle Sports Podcast. Your rundown of everything USI athletics. Interviews with coaches and players, game recaps, and much more. And it starts right now.
Screaming Eagle Sports Podcast. I'm Christian.
I'm Nathaniel.
And we are joined by USI head men's basketball coach Stan Gouard. Coach, a pleasure to have you on.
Thanks, Christian. Thanks, Nathaniel. I appreciate it.
And finally, it's that time. Basketball season starts tomorrow because this is released on Thursday. It starts Friday, 1 o'clock for the women. Right after that for the men against Rockhurst. Finally, time to talk some basketball, Coach.
Yes, it's a good time to talk some hoops here, and I'm really excited. You know, you hear the balls bouncing, you see Ray Simmons and Dan back there putting things together for us, and that means it's almost game time. We're really excited about, you know, this weekend, you know, with Rockhurst and William Jewell coming in.
Coach, obviously, Rockhurst is the first game on your schedule for Friday, and you prepared a lot more for Rockhurst than William Jewell.
I'm sorry about that. The light was taken away. I couldn't see.
Yeah, that's
gonna stay.
All right.
I'm sorry about that, guys.
No problem. So,
love it.
Regardless, you prepared a lot more for Rockhurst than you have for William Jewell. Just kind of talk about a tough Rockhurst team that obviously took USI to the wire last year. I think he took you guys in Indy to the wire as well.
Yeah, Rockhurst is a well-coached basketball team. Very physical opponent. You know, they bring back a majority of their roster from last year. You know, Curry, Volts, Lewis, Faber, and Hamill. Those guys all started for those guys last year, and they played through Curry, but Lewis is the guy that makes them go. He's really good in transition, great off of ball screens in terms of getting to the paint, and they just play off each other very well. And it's gonna be a tough matchup for us. You know, we played those guys last year at Indy. And they took us to overtime. You know, we were down 2 points or 3 seconds ago, and Trevor Lakes hits a shot to take us in overtime. And then in overtime, we kind of took over the basketball game. You know, and as you said, they played USI very well last year as well. And it's gonna be a tough guard for us. And if you're not ready to go, it's gonna be a long night.
And of course, this is your first game as a head coach with USI. What are your emotions like being able to play? Being able to coach for the team you played for years ago?
Emotions are all over the place right now. You know, to get this opportunity to come back and coach at a place that has molded my life as a person and my family's life, it's a tremendous honor, first of all. But emotions are everywhere. You know, I remember the first day of practice, how special it was to walk out on the court, and you know, just to start the very first day of practice. And now we're just a couple of days away from tip-off on the first game. And I'm sure those emotions are going to be a lot different than what they were a few weeks ago at our first practice. But really excited about the opportunity and, you know, trying to get this program back to another Final Four, if not a national championship at some point.
And, Coach, obviously it's been since March since you've coached a basketball game. Just kind of talk about how things are a lot different going into this season than they are in previous seasons.
Well, things are a lot different, of course, with COVID. Very, very different. You know, a lot of restrictions in terms of what you can do. That's on and off the basketball court. In the preseason, we spent a lot of time, you know, wearing these masks in the preseason. And then once the season started, we was able to take the mask off and practice without the mask. We had a couple situations where we had a couple guys in quarantine for the first, you know, 14, 28 days of practice. And, you know, this is practice number 12 or 13 with the entire team because, like I said, we had a couple guys in quarantine. But we'll be ready to go. You know, everybody's got a role to play. Everybody's got to embrace their roles and be special at their roles. You know, we have a great group of guys returning to this basketball team from a year ago with the guys we sprinkled in. I'm excited about these guys, and I just hope that, you know, we don't take a day for granted because, like you said, you know, we haven't played in a long while, and you can't take a day or a second for granted because at any given time it can be taken away from you just like that.
Three key guys that play for USI: Emmanuel Little, Mateo Rivera, Josh Price. You and everyone really calls them the Big Three. We've heard that phrase quite a bit. How do you think they'll fare in their first game as in the senior class?
Well, I call those guys my Big Three. I think these guys are going to be the key to us having success. All these guys have been around this program. You know, Mateo and Emmanuel's been around. This is year 4 for these guys, and Josh Price has been around for a few years as well. And we're going to put the team on these 3 guys back, and hopefully they can do a great job of leading us from a physical standpoint and from a vocal standpoint. You know, they have to set the tone from day one, and I put that on those guys' shoulders in practice every day. Anytime something goes wrong, it's their fault, you know, whether they did it or not. But I want these guys to continue to be great stewards of this university and this program. And I'm trying to teach these guys to be great leaders, and I think they're embracing their role very well.
Some of the new guys that you have brought in, one that sticks out in particular for Nate and I is Jelani Simmons, another Tyler Henry. Just kind of talk about some of your new guys that the USI fans might not know about.
Well, Jelani I think he's going to be really good. I think his best basketball is ahead of him. He played at Beechcroft High School in Columbus, Ohio. He played for his dad. His dad's a high school coach. So there's a lot of basketball from a mental standpoint that Jelani has not showed yet. And I can't wait to get that out of him. And, of course, he transferred to USI from Youngstown State. 6'5" athletic wing, shoots the ball very well, and he's great in open court. I think, you know, once we start playing the way we want to play, you guys are going to enjoy watching him in open court because he can get off the floor. And he's an explosive athlete that shoots the ball very well. So we're really excited about Jelani. And then Tyler Henry, of course, New York kid that transferred up to us from Lane College after averaging 15 points as a freshman. He's like an instant lottery ticket. You know, he's just one of those type of guys that can, you know, run off 10 to 15 points in a row when it's going for him. And we're still trying to teach him how to play within the system, and that's going to come. It's been a lot of jockeying for position so far with our guys. Just trying to, you know, our guys have been kind of like playing hard but letting each other know what they can and can't do outside the system. So now that we're getting closer to games, you know, the past couple of weeks, we've been zoned in on guys just playing within the system, within the flow of the basketball game versus forcing things. And I think once Tyler learns that, he's going to be okay. And then my 2 freshmen, of course, Elijah Jones and Keegan O'Neal. I'm really excited about these 2 young men. They're going to be thrown in the fire right away. They're going to play. I'm not going to redshirt those 2 guys, especially with the new NCAA rules where this year don't count against anyone. So these guys get the opportunity to play as freshmen. And then after this year, they play 4 more years. But both guys are 2 different players. Elijah's more of a slasher, and he can play the positions 1 through 4. He can play some small forward, some power, as well as some point guard. And Keegan O'Neal plays a stretch 4, stretch 5 forwards. He's a great pick and pop candidate, and we got to utilize those 2 guys' skills to the best of our ability, especially those 2 guys being freshmen. We brought Jacob Polakovich in with us from UIndy, who will redshirt this year due to interconference transfer rules. But he's been great in practice as far as pushing guys like Josh Price, Emmanuel Little, and Tyler Dancy. And he's going to be a great basketball player for us in the years to come.
One question I did want to ask, it's a story you told me a little bit earlier on this year about Jelani Simmons' recruitment. Kind of talked about how he was really unsure, and then he came to Screaming Eagles Arena, and he was all over it. Just kind of talk about the recruitment process with Jelani.
Can you repeat that, please? I couldn't hear.
Yeah, so Jelani Simmons' recruitment process, you kind of told me that story earlier in the year as far as how he was not really sure about USI, and then he came to the arena. Can you just kind of retell that story for those who haven't heard it?
Yeah, we had been chasing Jelani around for quite some time, even before my arrival at USI. We took this job here back in April. Jelani had a couple of Division IIs recruiting him, as well as a couple of Division I's in the Horizon League that he was already a part of. We couldn't get him down. Dr. Rashawn finally opened the doors for us to bring him in on a Sunday for a visit. He and his dad drove down, and he walked into the gym, and it was a done deal because I don't think he really understood how special this place is. He saw it online. He saw the pictures, the videos, but once you walk in here and get the actual feeling of the place, it kind of felt like home to him. So I remember him walking in and reaching over and talking to his dad in his ear and saying, "Can we get a minute?" And then he later committed. And that was a great day for our program because I think we got a special player in Jelani Simmons.
I really want to focus in on Rockhurst. The team last year, they went to the GLVC tournament, and they were really a dark horse, per se. They really surprised a lot of people for this year. Do you expect the same from this Rockhurst team?
Absolutely. I think they were 16-12 or 16-13 last year, and I think they're the best 16-12 or 13 team in the country. These guys play hard, and yes, they're a dark horse because, you know, if this is the type of team who, if you beat them, you're supposed to beat them. If you don't beat them, it's an upset, and they play with no fear. Again, their pace in terms of how fast they play, how hard they play, it's you can't go in practice and simulate it because of, it's a big difference. And they play through the Curry kid, and the Lewis kid is the point guard that gets guys going. So we got to make sure we do a great job early on of not letting these guys get confidence. I know they were voted a team to finish second in their region. In their division. I picked them first. They're that good of a basketball team, not just because they play hard, but they also have experience back. If you look at their roster, they returned about 75-80% of their roster from a year ago. And all those guys who are starting this year, they started last year. So experience is a big key, especially early on. And I think these guys are going to continue to get better every game they play because they've been playing together for quite some time now.
You mentioned the preseason rankings, and you guys were projected unanimously to finish first in your division. Just kind of talk about the preseason rankings, and obviously it doesn't hold much stock, but just kind of what that means to you guys.
Right. It's a tremendous honor to be voted by your peers in the top 25, the number one team in the league. But at the same time, it's not how you start; it's how you finish. I mentioned it the very first day when we received the top 25 ranking, as well as the GLVC standings ranking, and I left it at that. I don't celebrate it, and I don't let my guys celebrate it. We're honored, but at the same time, it's early. We don't know how we're going to fare, and we got a lot of work to do. We get caught up into the poll chasing, the rankings, and we'll be in a bad place pretty quick. So we got to focus on the big picture is playing great basketball and getting better night in and night out and taking care of Rockhurst on Friday, and then whoever we play, William Jewell after that. It's one day at a time, one game at a time, and our mentality has got to be one at a time and not get caught up into the rankings, the conference standings. If we take care of business and do the things we've been preaching in practice, all those rankings and the national rankings and the conference rankings, we can look at that later. But we want to end. We're 25 now in the top 25. I want to win my last game. If you win your last game, that means you're a national champion. So that's our goal, and that's going to continue to be our goal every time we set foot in the court.
Going back to Rockhurst, you mentioned Quentin Curry quite a bit, along with Curtis Lewis. They were more of a dynamic duo for Rockhurst, per se. How are you going to be able to stop those two top players for Rockhurst on Friday?
Well, it's going to be a defend by committee. I think the main thing is not getting into foul trouble because Curry he plays so physical and so unorthodox that he throws his body into you and he makes you foul him. We got to take it to him early. We cannot wait for him to get his position. He does a great job of screening and ducking in really hard, and we have to expect that. We're going to drill it in practice every day, and we got to show our guys on film. But we have some veteran guys who's been around this program for a couple of years who have played against this young man, and I think they understand how hard he plays. And then the Lewis kid, he's a jet, like I said a second ago. He's very fast, and we can't let both of those guys beat us. We got to make some other guys make plays that are not used to making plays. And I think the key to these guys' success is Curtis Lewis and Quentin Curry. And if we let these guys get going early, it's going to be a long night for us. So we have some defensive schemes in mind for both of these two young men, and we got to do a great job with our execution.
We've highlighted a lot of the players on your team, but I do want to highlight some of the returning players that maybe we haven't talked about. Tyler Dancy comes to mind, Chance Coyle, guys like that. Kind of talk about what you've seen from some of those returners that we haven't necessarily talked about so far.
Well, with both of these two young men, those are two experienced guys that we're really happy to have back in the program. Tyler, of course, he's going to be great for, as far as a backup role for Josh Price and Emmanuel. I think, we talked about Rose a couple of days ago, and I think Tyler, with his wide body, he can do a great job with his screening. He's so strong in the post that he should be able to bury guys in the post. He has such great footwork that when he gets the basketball, he's got to think score, unless double team. And I think he can, pose a threat to a guy like Quentin Curry at Rockhurst because of his footwork, the way he moves his feet inside, and how strong he is. Chance Cole, watching Chance from a year ago, I thought Chance played out of position quite a bit. I think Chance is more of a natural shooting guard than he is a point. I know Mateo went down last year and he had to play that position, but we've really been trying to expand on Chance's ball handling because he may have to play some point for us again this year. We do have Tyler Henry that can play some point. Jelani Simmons can play some point. But Chance, when we play him off the ball in practice, he shoots it pretty well. And I think that's his more comfortable position. I remember watching Chance in high school. He was such a great shooter, and I felt like he lost that a year ago because his role changed on his basketball team with playing the point guard spot. I went to college with his dad. We were college teammates. Chance's dad, Neil Coyle, and Tyler Martin's dad, Craig, we were all college teammates. And I watched these two young men grow up before me. And it's an honor to coach these two young men. Tyler Martin, his jump shot looks just like his dad, Craig's shot. He's a great shooter. We're trying to turn him into more of a catch and shoot guy. I think Tyler Martin at times wants to put the ball on the floor, but he's one of those guys that I want to catch and shoot. So we have some experience coming back. We just mentioned 3 guys that was around this program a year ago on top of what we currently have. And we expecting big things out of these 3 young men to just always be ready to go. You never know when your number is going to be called, and they got to embrace the moment wholeheartedly.
What are some things that are going to be different from last year that fans are going to see this year or hear about this year?
I was going to say, they'll be on the GOVC Sports Network, and hopefully they'll see some difference. Early on, guys, I tell you what, we are so far behind. As I said, we spent 28 days in quarantine. We're so far behind, but at the same time, it's across the board. It's not just one team. There's a number of teams in our league that's, a little behind. But once we get this thing rolling here, I want to be a team that guards like there's no tomorrow. We always set a goal every game of holding the team to 40% from the field. So we want to do a great job on the basketball with our press defense, with our half-court defense, just be solid. From a rebounding standpoint, we always set a game goal of plus 10 on the boards. So I want to be the best rebounding team in the country, not just in the GOVC. So that's another goal. And once we get our legs up under us, you're going to see up-tempo. We're going to push the basketball. In last year at UIndy, we led the league in scoring. And I want to be that same type of team. I want to be the best scoring team in the league and the best defensive team in the league. So that's a lot, but at the same time, it's an attainable goal that I think we're going to hit at some point. Maybe not early because, it's our first game under the whistle. It's our first time playing against another foe. But, each and every day we're going to get better, and that's the goal.
All right, Coach, I think that's all we've got for the podcast. I want to wish you luck in advance of your games on Friday and Sunday. And thank you once again for the time.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate you having me, and go Eagles. Go Eagles.
Absolutely. Thank you.